Hi everyone, Shane R. Monroe here. Today we're going to install Battle.net, show you how to handle large game installations outside of the Proton prefix, and we're going to show you how to set up multiple launchers within Steam to point to different Battle.net games while sharing the same core Battle.net install. Whew, that was a lot. Let's get busy. You'll need to download Battle.net, save it to your downloads folder. I've already done so we're not going to do it again. Go to Steam. Add a non-Steam game. We're going to hit Browse. We're going to go to Home Deck and your Downloads folder. Change file type to All Files. Find your Battle.net setup.exe. Add selected programs and find it on the list on the left. A little searching will probably help. And there we have it. Now, before we move further, we're going to do something that's a little bit different than my last Battle.net install. I have learned new techniques and new tricks. So, wherever you're planning on storing your Battle.net games, either on the internal storage or on your micro SD card, go to that location and make a games folder. I have a games folder in each of these locations, one off of Home Deck and then one right on the root of my micro SD card. Now inside, you'll see I've already installed the games Overwatch and Hearthstone before. So I have these games ready to go for when I reinstall Battle.net today. I don't have anything in this games yet, but having one on each side gives you some options. Okay, so now that I've made that game, we're gonna go ahead and go to our compat data folder. Now, if you don't have these things on the side, I highly recommend you configure places to do so. If you look in the upper right up here, I have a video showing dolphin tricks and tips that is going to drastically make your life a lot easier doing these sorts of tutorials. We're going to sort by modified date, and you're going to see that the last time a Proton prefix was touched was yesterday. We're about to change that by running Battle.net. Now, I highly recommend for Battle.net, we're going to go to properties. For Battle.net, set your compatibility to GE Proton 7-49. Seems to be the most compatible, and you'll have the opportunity to change Proton versions for other Battle.net games once we add individual Steam launchers for those games. But for the core install, this is what I recommend. If you do not have GE Proton or Glorious Egg Roll Proton, you'll need to install it using Proton Up QT, which is installable from the Discover store. I'll have a video up here again teaching you how to do that. We're not going to go through that exercise for this video. All right, so now we've got GE Proton. We are ready to actually do our setup. We're going to go ahead and hit play, and it's going to run the Battle.net installer. Now, one thing you're going to see right off the bat, we're going to go ahead and start this so I can do something else while it's doing its thing. You'll notice we just got a brand new Proton prefix made just now. It's randomized. Your number won't look the same as this one, but this is where Battle.net's being installed. So now you know. That's the Proton prefix where Battle.net's going to be installed. We're going to open that up, go to the prefix folder, and into drive C. This is the Windows simulated folder. This is the, quote, C drive, according to anything running from this Proton prefix. So when you run Battle.net and you go to your C drive, this is what you're going to see. So we're going to go over to our home folder or to our micro SD card, wherever you decided you wanted to install games. We're going to left drag it over here and create a link. We've now created a symbolic link between this so-called C drive and this folder. Anytime you install anything in the C:\games folder, it's really going to go over here, which is great because it's external to that Proton prefix. And in fact, if you ever have to remove this prefix, reinstall Battle.net, whatever, your games are safely preserved over here. Okay, let's go back to our installation. Oh yes, fine. You can install Battle.net exactly where it defaults to, and Battle.net will install. Okay, so now Battle.net's installed. We're almost done here. Go ahead and log into Battle.net. By the way, mouse and keyboard, this whole thing is a mess, right? You're gonna have to get through this once, folks. No, not that password. Go away. Make sure you hit keep logged in. I beg you. All right. So now we're going to log in. Okay. We could not find any Battle.net games. All right. We could go and locate our games right now, but let's not do that. We're going to solve that a different way. Yes, yes, we're going to show you around BattleNet, blah, blah, blah. Skip the tour. Now we're going to go into our settings of BattleNet. And what we're going to do is we're going to say on game launch to actually exit BattleNet. There's several reasons why to do that. And we're also going to show a brief countdown because if BattleNet closes immediately, it might stop the Proton version from running. So we need to have a brief countdown to before we close that. When clicking X, we're just going to completely exit BattleNet. You don't really need to start BattleNet when you do your computer. Remember your logins, fine, blah, blah, blah. Here's the magic flute here for you folks. Change your C program files, install, go to My Files, C, and select that games. Now remember, games isn't inside the Proton prefix. It's really over here. It's really in your home deck folder. It's really in your micro SD folder, wherever you chose to put it. So now we're going to hit open. Now this is where it's going to install games. Now you can scan for games, right? We're not going to scan for games every time. No need to automatically create a desktop icon. Don't limit your bandwidth ever, right? And that should be pretty much everything you need to alter here. If you go to the game itself, locate the game, select Overwatch, and hit open, it found it just fine. If we go to Hearthstone, locate the game, select the game, and hit open. Now you're probably saying, well, Shane, I didn't have these downloaded before. How do I download? It's real simple, folks. When you click the game and you hit install, it's gonna basically install to where that default folder was, C Games, which, as you know, I know I'm hammering this home, folks, it's really home deck games. Okay, so then you would just install it and everything would be fine. There's no way I'm installing this right now, but that's the idea. So now Overwatch and Hearthstone are ready to go. Now, you're not going to get away from using the launcher, right? Let me just stop you right there. You're not going to get away without running this. You must run the launcher, select the game, and hit play. So we have a couple more things to do, though. Let's go ahead and exit. Go back to Steam. Okay. So this isn't, now see, BattleNet's still running in the background here somewhere. Let's hit stop. First, we need to figure out what our Proton prefix was, and we're going to dig ourselves. We need to find the BattleNet launcher itself, not the installer, the actual game launcher, which is right here. We're going to copy the location, go back to here, hit our properties, browse, paste in that location, and hit open. Now, instead of going to the setup exe, you can see it's now going to the actual BattleNet launcher, which is what we want. That's fine. Now it's no longer BattleNet setup. Let's just call it BattleNet. Easy peasy. Okay. And we'll run it again just to make sure all is well, that we actually linked up the BattleNet launcher correctly. Now, if you didn't link up the BattleNet launcher correctly, you're going to have to go through the installer every single time that you run this thing. And while it technically will inevitably play the game for you, it's a huge waste of your time. By the way, while we're thinking about it, you can go to your downloads folder now and delete that installer. You no longer need it. Say goodbye. Oh, it's getting an update. It's getting an update. That's normal, folks. A lot of people write on Reddit, hey, every time I open up BattleNet, I'm getting updates for Overwatch. I'm getting updates for Hearthstone. I'm getting updates for everything, or Hearthstone. That's normal. And it's a quick blurb. Normally on the PC, it happens so fast you don't see it. In this case, see, it says it's initializing. It's not really downloading anything. It's just kind of checking to see if it needs to download something. Again, on the PC, normally it happens so fast you don't see it. When you're inside a Proton like this, sometimes you will see those sorts of things. Okay, so now you're saying, Shane, I need Overwatch 2 in its own window. I can't be launching BattleNet and then running the games individually. I need my own launcher. I need custom controls. I need a custom version of Proton for Diablo 4, blah, blah, blah. Okay, message received. Calm down, calm down. I'm going to show you the way I do it. There's a million ways you can do this. It is Linux after all. But this is the way I like to do it. So we know what our BattleNet Proton prefix folder is now, right? So we could go back to compat data, and our latest one is right here. All right. So now we're going to go back over here. We're going to select a compat data on both sides. So now we've got, this is BattleNet. This is Battle.net's prefix. And then we're going to get a brand new prefix when we set up a new launcher. Go ahead, add a new game. Browse into that Proton prefix. And we're going to select the battle launcher, right? This is the same one, right? This is the battle launcher. It's okay. And then we're going to add selected programs. All right. We're going to, again, here's our launcher that we just added. Now we're going to set the Proton, we're going to set everything separately. This is going to actually be Overwatch 2. I know Overwatch 2 runs great in 7-4.9. It tends to have problems in higher versions of Proton, GE Proton. This is the one I know works. So please, if you're going to use Overwatch, just use it. Trust me on this one. All right, great. Now, here's the problem. As soon as we run this, as you might have guessed, a brand new Proton prefix is created. We don't really need that. As you can see, oh, well, wait a minute. How come I don't have any credentials in here? That's because it's running under its own totally different prefix. All the stuff that you did and saved is gone. It's like it's brand new. So here's what you do. This is Battle.net, the original one that we set everything up on. This is the brand new one we set up for Overwatch 2. Watch this. Capture this number. You can write it down or do whatever you need to do. All right, I'm just going to copy it to my clipboard. Then we're going to delete it. Because remember, now let's go over this real quick. There's nothing in here. This was specially created to run a game or a launcher from another prefix. We don't need it. Let's get rid of it. Now what we're going to do is create a new link to a file or directory. The new name is going to be the original name of the Proton prefix that Overwatch 2 just installed, right? We cut it to the clipboard. Where we really want to send that to is to this location, which unfortunately, while you got that dialog box open, you can't get to. So I'm going to open up another copy here. Go back to my compat data. And this, remember, this is the one that we had for our original Battle.net about 10 minutes ago. We're going to copy the location. I know this seems a little bass-ackwards, people, but believe me, this works well. Then, where'd it go? Too many windows. There we go. All right, now let's take just a moment to explain what we did here. This location houses our original fully installed Battle.net, all configured, everything is happy. This is the Proton prefix folder created for Overwatch 2, which we no longer need. All right, we're going to go ahead and stop that while we're here. So by linking this folder to this one, everything from Overwatch 2 is going to be seen in here. Right, so we're going to hit OK. Perfect. Now you can see it's a little sim link going to this folder, and that's cool. Now, presumably, if we launch Overwatch 2 from here, you should log in. All of our credentials should be there. Everything should be as if we were just running our Battle.net. Look, there it is. There's our login. Everything is hunky-dory. And you'll see Overwatch 2 started an update. It's not updating anything. It's just looking for an update. All right, so now when we come back, Overwatch 2 should be installed, and it is. Hearthstone should be installed, and well, it's doing its stupid update, but it's installed. So we have Overwatch 2. Sweet. Now let's go ahead and get out of here. Now you probably already know how to do this for Hearthstone now, but let's go ahead and go through the motions anyway. Make sure that gets stopped. Add a new game. Add a non-Steam game. Browse. Right? And we need to go to, oh, we're already there. Look at that. We're already in our Proton prefix for Battle.net. Oops. All files. Battle.net launcher. Same thing as before. Add selected programs. There's our recently added Battle.net launcher. Go to properties. Change it to Hearthstone. Compatibility. I'm going to use the same thing as I did before. Now, we do have to run it once so that it builds the Proton prefix. It's going to give us that stupid login again for Battle.net, the same way that happened for Overwatch 2. This is normal. Okay, right? We expected that. Go back. Oh, there's our brand new Proton prefix. Capture the number. Copy. Delete it. Create new. Link to file or directory. The new link is going to be the new Proton prefix folder number for Hearthstone. Once again, we're going to have to pop over to our other copy of Dolphin. Copy location. Paste it in. Once again, this should be old hat to you by now. This is the new Proton prefix we created for Hearthstone. We don't even need that prefix. We deleted it. We're going to replace it with a link to the original Battle.net installer prefix folder. This is Battle.net. This is a shortcut essentially to Overwatch 2. This is a shortcut essentially to Hearthstone. Now let's make sure it works. Again, please don't leave a comment saying, how do I make it Hearthstone launch without Battle.net? It doesn't work. You cannot launch the games without launching Battle.net first. There are some games in the Battle.net archive that will allow you to launch the game separately without launching Battle.net, but eventually it will run out of authentication and it'll say, oh, you're not authenticated. You need to go log into Battle.net again. So just get used to it. You're going to launch Battle.net every single time. They're not going to let you get away without looking at their storefront every time you want to run one of their games. Welcome to the wonderful world of third-party digital lockers. Okay, so now we need to actually play these games and make sure they work okay. And to do that, we're actually going to go back to gaming mode. By the way, Battle.net crashes all the time. Just get used to that too. Sometimes you'll see it, sometimes you won't. When you do, all you have to do is close it, and probably during the course of this video, the remainder of this video, you're going to see it happen again, and I'll show you from gaming mode how to escape that nasty window when it pops up. Okay, we are back in gaming mode, and as you can see, we indeed have 3 different launchers. Let's launch Hearthstone, which, as you know, is just launching the Battle.net launcher, right? The Battle.net digital locker. A lot of people say, why do you call them lockers instead of launchers? That's because the word launcher has like 17 uses. Lockers has 1, right? In this context anyway. So that's why I call them lockers. It saves some of the problems. Okay, so what a lot of people have said is that this window is weirdly oriented. And when they select a game, well, I can't play it. There's no play button. Where to go? Very simple. And you can do this with the touchscreen. I'm using a mouse. But if you double click this title bar here, it resized the window, yay. So now you can actually get to the buttons that you need, right? So right now this Hearthstone's being a real bummer because it's trying to pull this update down. There we go, it finally got it. It's not an update really. And again, you'll notice that the window went kind of wonky. So again, just tapping that. By the way, once you, see, this is why the launcher's a pain in the butt. The launcher likes to take over and do crap in the background when you're not paying attention. All right, so we were here to play Hearthstone, right? So let's go ahead and make sure that that starts up and runs. See, I told you that Battle.net thing would pop up. Now, I'm not going to use the mouse at all. I'm going to use the deck itself. All you have to do is hit the Steam button, go down to where it says Steam error, and hit X. That'll close the window, and you're back to normal. That happens about 1 out of every 10 launches-ish. All right, so we know that this works. I don't play Hearthstone. It was the quickest thing I could install. So now we're going to exit the game, and it's going to completely kill everything, including the digital locker of Battle.net, and we're back here. Now we're going to go check out the Overwatch. Okay, so we know the game works. Great. Let's get the heck out of here again. And of course, Battle.net will continue to run as a separate instance as well. So now we have 3 copies. We have 3 essentially launchers to Battle.net. And this is good. There may be some game you want to try on Battle.net without creating an individual launcher for it. And you want to use a separate control scheme, right? You may want to have a separate control scheme for that. I'm using a gyro assisted scheme for Overwatch 2, where I wouldn't necessarily need that for Hearthstone. But if for some reason you hid, I mean, you could hide that, right? You could hide that BattleNet launcher if you didn't want to see it anymore. Personally, I'd keep it around because you never know when you might need it for something. Now, if we go back in and run Overwatch 2 again, remember I told you that it would add it to that quick launch? They will show up on that quick launcher at the top. And now, bing, you can just launch it from here. You don't have to click Overwatch or whatever. So this is a consolation prize for making us look at this screen. Obviously now, if you have the amazing Decky Loader Steam DB plugin, Steam Grid DB plugin, right? We can make some very short order of adding artwork to this, right? We can have this Overwatch 2 skinned very, very quickly. Okay, now everything's nice, clean, and happy. All right, so now you know what you're up to. So next time you add another BattleNet game, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to install it through BattleNet, right? You're going to install it. It's going to go in that special games folder you made. Then you're going to create another non-Steam game. You're going to point to the original BattleNet launcher inside of the BattleNet prefix. Then you're going to delete that one, that folder, as we did before, and link it, symlink it over to your BattleNet Proton prefix. And then you can change the name, add all your controls, everything you want to do. All right, listen, I hope this video helped you out. Please like, subscribe. That notification bell will ensure you get the latest information on my newest videos, just like this one. I am Shane R. Monroe. Thanks always so much for watching, and take care.